Hi, we are back in this video. In this model, this video is gonna be a continued discussion from our previous video, the snap to wall. You can find that one in the descriptions. Now we're back in here and I have added another symbol. So we have our outlet, our card reader, and now we have another one, a light. So these are the symbol of these three elements, and if we go to 3D, we can see that there are some actual 3D geometries of these three elements. And if I toggle to Find, I can actually see the 3D element. But for our discussion here, we're going to use symbols. Notice how the card reader is placed using the center, bottom center. The same goes for the outlet, it's using the bottom center. But then the light, the placement point, is in the center, which is how it's supposed to be. And now that we go here, there is a PDF of this floor plan, and we have our symbols. We're using Bluebeam to look at this PDF, and the thing about Bluebeam is that we can create what they call markups, lines, shapes, and we can even create our own markups, such as we're going to create this symbol here. We're going to do that by go to shapes, draw a circle, just move it, extend it, and we're going to create another two lines. Something like that, really quick. Once we have select all of these, here we have a group. And after we group it, we can create a name to it, test. And I can go to add to my tools. Once it is added over there, you can see that there's the test, and then I can just place them randomly. I don't need the test because I've already created the outlet, the card reader, and the light in the similar fashion. Now that we have the markup version of these tools, these elements, we can use them to place it in a PDF, where basically anyone can do that. You don't need to understand Revit. And if only we have some way of translate these markups into Revit, into actual Revit element. And this is what we're going to do in this video. Translate these Bluebeam markups into actual Revit element. So I'm placing something randomly across the building in different orientations. Just in this area. And we're going to go, once we have created these, we can go to Summary. Create a CSV summary of all the markups. I'm going to go OK. And in here, let's just call that text page, save. So that we have these as a summary of all the markups. See the subject, the page label, there's X and Y values. That's what we're going to use. So actually, these markups comes with a X and Y in Bluebeam, and if only we have some way to translate that into Revit. So let's take a look at here. The element by Bluebeam markup. We're going to go here and pick the Bluebeam markup using the test page CSV that we just created, and reference, there's going to be an Excel reference the symbol in Bluebeam to the actual element in Revit. And we're going to use this as the page that we just printed, and we're going to add something in here to indicate where is the view border in the model. View base point, I'm going to select that. Can be anything as long as it provides some kind of location. Now that everything is settled, sheet is selected, we're going to hit run. So basically, I open the view and I place something just like the border of the sheet, so that it gives Revit a reference as where is the 0, 0 in Bluebeam. And it will try to use that to calculate where the actual element gonna be placed and do so. Let's see if I can jump in over here to try to explain this. So we look at these markups. They comes with an X and a Y. And if I see my mouse moves over here, there's these numbers. It's going to change as I move. So there's actually an X and Y inside this PDF. And we can place one over here to know that it actually thinks the top left corner being the 0 and 0 of this page, and also is using that top left corner to understand where these markups is placed. Okay, here the run has complete. Let's just jump back to see what we got. Okay, we got a bunch of markups or element in Revit. So let's do a print and actually compare that. Sizes, okay. I don't want to do color. Go OK and select pages. I'm gonna print page 1. No. I'm gonna go OK. Yeah. Basically, I'm gonna call that test result. So I have test result. Let's compare that with the Bluebeam markups. So I'm going to go flatten, Now these markups has been flattened. Let's do the comparison overlay pages. Go. So these are irrelevant. For the element we placed here, notice all the original shapes comes in pretty much accurate. But whenever we rotate them, because by default, Revit will always place the element in the default orientation, that whenever the markups get rotated, the markups is rotated, it plays a default position element somewhere near this element. And depending on the rotation of the element, it actually moves a little bit here and there. So let me try to explain this. Now that we have talked that it thinks here, the top left corner being the 0, 0 of this page. If I mouse hover over here, notice on the bottom right corner that says 0, 0. And it's using the top left corner to understand where the markup is. So that's the X and Y for this symbol in Bluebeam. But in Revit, what we're actually trying to place, the placement point is in the center. This is in the center, is the bottom center of this device. So we have to move. So in Revit, it understands this as somewhere over here. I need a different color. So we have to move these X and Y's from the top left corner to the right. Wow, that's giant. We have to move these X, Y's to that direction, basically, in order for it to understand where's the center. But so that we understand it's moving X direction to the right. But when we try to rotate this device in Bluebeam, notice now the placement point. If I place another one over here, is still understanding the top right corner being the X 0, 0. If I move that, see that's very close to 0, 0. Now when we try to, when the markups is rotate, we place another device somewhere over here. And we still try to move it to the right by a certain distance. So we end up with inconsistent positioning place and inconsistent adjust factors. If we look at our element by Bluebeam matcher, we have the Bluebeam subject being the name of the tool or the markup, and we're matching that with a Revit family, Revit type, and then we're providing it with a offset factors. These offset factors confirming that when we're trying to place it, the default position will come in as intended. But it cannot help us when the markups has been rotated. in these situations, the element is going to be off. And since Bluebeam, there's really no difference between a default position element markup versus a rotate markups. They all look exactly the same, except the XY position has been changed. There's really no way to differentiate that. However, we already know that for these elements, they are most likely supposed to snap to a wall. And in our previous session, we have the snap to wall to discussed. So you can see why this is very helpful. These elements have to be a free floating element, otherwise the Dynamo script won't be able to place one at any XYZ location. And we have that snap to wall too, that allows us to have the ability to change or modify or perfect the position of these devices. So let's see how it works in combined in the element by Bluebeam complete. Okay, before we try that, let's just review what our PDF looks like. So we're not going to use the test PDF anymore. Instead, we're going to use these full markup, this one. Notice I have two pages over here, A101 and A102. In total, I have 100 elements placed in these views. The outlet on the wall, the card reader by the door, and it's confusing. And the light in the center of the rooms. Notice here I have these card readers and outlet positioned in the correct orientation in Bluebeam. And on this side, I have just placed as the original position that they will come in. I'm just dropping that like this. And we already know that if this is the default position, they come in actually looks better. We're gonna see how that behaves differently. We have card readers, outlines, light. Let's go to level 2. We have some outlet in the table, in the desks for different peoples, and in the seminar rooms, light, outlets, and card readers for the server room, card readers for the broom closet, something like that. This is just to illustrate, and we're using at least 100 to illustrate how this would function in the actual project. So with all of these settled, we're going to first try to place them manually or software supported. We're going to level 2. Notice that in the Bluebeam, we have outlet by the desks. These ones are all on the left-hand side And we already know that if we're using the markup translator, the element by Bluebeam Markups is not going to work perfectly. But fortunately, we have that demonstrated before a place element by linked family. You can find that in the description again. I've made some modifications so that it recognizes element in the model. So we're going to use this first. We're going to go run. I'm going to pick the desk, and I'm going to pick, oh, come on. I'm afraid that's too low, so that doesn't get recognized. So we're going to do that again. This time we're going to open wireframe so that I can pick both. Actually, we don't need it to mirror because our target outlet is actually symmetric. And go run, pick the desk, and pick the outlet. It's gonna go through the model, find all the desks, and pick a outlet at the same position as the one we've just done. So yeah, all done. We're going to continue this by doing the office desk version. Run again, pick the desk, pick the outlet. This time it placed 3 of them. There's 1, 2, and there's another one over here. And we have the round table versions again. Put that in the center, run this script, select the round desk, select the outlet. In the place element by linked family, I have a more comprehensive description of this, but this is basically the idea. It allows me to place device a lot faster than we're placing it manually. Imagine there's way more desks than we're showing here. It's going to be a lot more faster. Select the desk, select the outlet. Okay. Now that we placed these ones where we have a clear relationship between the devices versus the furnitures, we can go back to Bluebeam and close those markups. So if I go filter and status none, basically I can select these markups and just complete them. Now you see that they get grayed out. So we have already done some of the markups. We're going to complete them. And by completing them, will not get created again using the element by markup tool. One last one over here, complete. Now we have set these ones to complete. We're going to create that summary. This full markup summary. Notice that some of the markups already set to complete, right? And notice my list matcher has this snap to wall set to 1 for outlet and 0 for the light, because I don't need that to snap to any wall, and again snap to wall set to for card readers. So back here, this is the element by Bluebeam complete. Edit input. We have the markup CSV, full markup, the element matcher, the same one, the view base point. Let's go for view level 1. Place one at the corner of there and just select. And again, maximum distance from background in order for it to snap. Let's set to 2 feet. And then there's the background element that we showed before in the snap to wall model video. We're going to slap all the walls in here. Now we have level 1 prepared. We can go ahead and click run. It's reading these CSVs and Excels and understand the relationship between different elements and try to place them, and after placing them try to snap to wall for the card readers and outlets. Let's see how it turns out. Okay, run complete. And notice this time these ones snap to the wall, but they're a little bit offset because of the way the Bluebeam understands rotation. But on this side, this is perfect. Oh, one of them didn't get rotated. Seems a little bit buggy, but that's fine. We can still edit that. And most of them get perfectly rotated and snap to wall. There's another one slightly off, probably because it's now on the corner. It doesn't understand where is the wall anymore. But basically we can see that when the markups are placed in this way, it gets offset a little bit, like that. But if we place them in this way, the default way, it comes in rather good. And now let's jump in and do the level 2. View base point, select that one. Background element. This one is gonna be level 2's element now. Okay. And the same CSV and the same Excel. Okay, we're gonna run the level 2 again. For the level 2 markups, it's gonna read the markups as label 102, and it's gonna filter out those ones we already set to complete, so that it doesn't create duplicate markups, duplicate elements on top of each other, but it's going to try to create the rest of them, and again, try to snap them to all when applicable. But for those ones in the center of the desk, hopefully it's not within 2 feet to any wall, so that it's not gonna be moved. Basically, we're trying to demonstrate a workflow where we use markups and take those Bluebeam markups to place model element. And we already demonstrate that it runs relatively okay, but then again, these markups are just placed based on visual. That view base point on the top left corner is still, you just eyeball it. It's gonna be a little bit off here and there. Okay, run complete. Come back here, and you see the light get placed, that get placed and snap to wall. This one, a little bit buggy, snap to the wall but didn't rotate. And most of them come in correct. These ones over here, and generally the light. So yeah, it did the work rather quickly and reasonably good. Basically, as we can imagine, the bigger the floor plan, the better the faster it takes. We have successfully generated, let's see, electrical fixtures, lighting fixtures, and security device. The 50 security devices in level 1, the 50 devices in level 1, and the 50 devices on level 2. For fixtures, lighting, and security. Oh, it's actually 52. Oh. Security devices 2. Did it create duplicate somewhere? Or did I simply forget to mark up a couple of those? No, it didn't create duplicate. Well, maybe it just I misclicked some of those markups in the furnitures. But this is a way of translating markups from Bluebeam to Revit. And thank you for watching this one.